124. The scene has been set, right? Which means that everybody's got to come now. The next morning they're going to turn up with their frying pans full of incense and they're going to offer them up. So let's go from verse number 20. V'yidaber Hashem Moshe v'Aaron lemod. Hibodlu mitoich ha'eda azois v'achaleu isam koraga. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, separate yourselves from the people. I'm going to destroy them. Vayiplu al pneihem v'yomru kel elokei aruchot l'chol basar. Ha'ish echad yechtav v'kol ha'eda tiktsoif. It's very interesting what's going on now. That God's coming and He's saying, you two separate yourselves from the people because I'm gonna destroy them all. And what do? They fall on their faces in supplication to God, and they say that everyone's going to suffer now because of these people, what they're doing. That's not fair. Vayidaber Hashem Moshe lemor, daber el ha'eda lemor, ha'alu misaviv lemishkan Korach Dathan v'aviram. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, tell everybody to pick themselves up. Vayakom Moshe v'yelech el Dathan v'aviram. Look at this incredible moment over here where Moshe, it's a little bit like yesterday, but it's even more acute. Moshe, who's the king of the Jews, he goes to Dathan v'aviram, and he doesn't send anybody. He goes by himself. V'yelchu acharav ziknei Yisrael, and the people are following him. He's going to go and tell them, he's going to plead with them not to get involved in what's going on. וידבר לעדה לאמור, סורו נא מעל עולי האנשים הרשעים האלה, ואל תיגעו בכל אשר להם, פן תיספו בכל חטאיהם. And what's going to be now? He's telling everybody, stay away from all the people that are involved in this machlokes. Stay away from them. Everything. Stay away from their possessions. Stay away from their tents. Something enormous is going to take place, and you don't want to get caught up in it, because if you do, you'll get sucked into it. ויעלו מעל משכן קורח דוסן ואבירם מסביב, ודוסן ואבירם יוצאו מניצבים פסח העולם מנשיהם ובניהם וטפם. And Dosan and Aviram, they go out to Moshe, together with their wives and their children. Vayomer Moshe bezois teidun ki Hashem shalachani la'asos es kol ha'ma'asim ha'eleh. He tells them, you need to know that everything that's taking place, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me to do this. Ki lo milibi, I'm not doing it because I wanted to do it. Im kamois kol ha'adam yimusun eleh. So then he says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like this. Im kamois kol ha'adam yimusun eleh, ufkudas kol adam yipoked aleim, lo Hashem shalachani. Moshe says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like this, that the people, they have to die. But if they were to die a regular natural death, then that means that God didn't send me. You hear what's going on? It's the most incredible thing. Let's say, momentarily, all these people drop down dead from a heart attack. All at the same time.
Why does Moshe have to even try to excuse himself to a dozen of them? He says, I didn't do this.
He wants them to know, up until the very last moment, he wants them to understand that what they're doing is wrong. They can get themselves out of this.
But I told him that Hashem was not going to accept any shubut.
I don't know. At this point, if they would have turned around and said, you know what, Moshe, you're right, and we're sorry, we made a terrible mistake, then they would have davened, that Moshe would have davened for them, right? And then it would have been okay. He's saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like this. Right? Moshe is saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like this. If these people drop down dead from a heart attack right now, that's not good enough. What has to take place is something completely and absolutely unnatural. We'll come back to it. Ve'im bria yivra Hashem ufotzto adam es pia uvolo oisam v'es kol asher lahem ve'yodu chaim she'oila. What has to do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu's got to create a phenomenon over here where the land is going to open up and these people are going to drop down into the opening, into V'yerdu Chaim She'olah. They're going to go alive into a place called She'olah. She'olah is not a place you really want to be. She'ol. There are different levels of Gehenna. 7 different levels of Gehenna. She'ol is considered to be the bottom level. You can't get worse than that. V'yedatem ki ne'atu anashim ha'eles Hashem. And you need to know that these people are being punished not because of what they've done to me, but because of what they've done to Hashem. And he's only just finished speaking to God. V'tibaka adam asher tachtayim, and the land underneath these people opens up. There's like an earthquake, splits apart. Vayiftach ha'oretz says pia v'tivlo isom v'esbotayim, and they and their tents all go rushing down into this opening. V'eskol adam asher likorach v'eskol ha'uchush, and everything that belonged to Korach and everything that he had. V'yedu listen to this. V'yedu heim v'chol asher lehem chaim sho'ila v'tchas alehem ha'oretz v'yovdu mitoich hakal. And then what happens? Everything goes down, and then all of a sudden the earth closes together, and it's as if there was nothing there. There's no crack, there's no sign, there's no nothing.
Okay.
Hold on a second, okay, we're going to get there. V'chol yisol asher sivosem nosu l'koilo ki omru pein tivlaenu ha'oretz. And the people, what do? They start running away. And what are they scared of? They're scared that they're going to end up going down that little crevice as well, right? I don't know if you realize. I apologize for using these words. I really do, but it's such a ridiculous reaction. It's infantile. It really is. They see what's going on. They see that the whole thing is supernatural. They understand that no one is going to be punished over here that's not supposed to be punished, right? So what are they running away from? And a fire comes out of the heavens, and the 250 people that were offering up the Ketores, the followers of Korach, they were consumed by fire. Yeah? Well, so let's have a look and see. We got a whole bunch of things we need to understand over here, right? First of all, why is it not good enough for these people to drop down dead? Right? If the whole idea over here is that Moshe wants them to be punished, and they need to be punished in a way that they're going to lose their lives, what difference does it make how they lose their lives? Secondly, why does Moshe ask for, fine, if you want God to do a supernatural thing, right? So leave it up to God, no? What does Moshe ask for? Moshe asks that the land open up and that they all get swallowed up into the land, and then the land close together again, and there be no sign whatsoever that anything ever took place. And they're going to get taken alive down into the Sheol, into these lowest levels of Gehenna. I don't know if you remember yesterday, but yesterday we mentioned that one of the things that Moshe asked the Kodesh Baruch Hu not to do was not to consume the part that belonged to Dosan Va'aviram from the Korban Sibah, from the sacrifice that was brought that represents the entire Jewish community. Which is what remember we discussed this yesterday. What does it mean? It means that these people are no longer a part of the Ada, of the Jewish people. Korach, let's go back to the beginning, right? Korach, if you remember when his name was first mentioned, it didn't mention Yaakov Avinu. In a certain way, we've got the same kind of an idea over here. Yaakov Avinu is disassociating himself from what Korach did. Which means that in a certain way, if Korach can't trace his roots back into Yaakov Avinu, that means there's something missing over there, no? He's also not connected. What is going on over here? Moshe Rabbeinu is asking from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that these people be dealt with in such a way that afterwards it's as if they never existed. You understand? If they drop down dead from a heart attack, so what are you going to do? We're going to pick them up and we're going to bury them, and somebody's going to say Kaddish for them, right? And what's being perpetrated is their memory, and their neshama presumably is still going to be a part of what's going on, right? What Moshe is asking for is a complete and absolute cut-off between these people and the Jewish nation. Which means it's not enough for them to die naturally. That's not what Moshe needs. Moshe needs something which is an absolute sign that these people have no connection whatsoever to the Jewish nation.
Like swallowing the close of the earth.
Oh, so what's the pshat? That the earth opens up and closes in a way that you can't see anything afterwards.
Like nothing happened.
It's as if nothing's happened. They were never there. They don't belong.
I think it's so interesting that they use the word, all that was there is descended alive. It's like making sure that those who were buried in a way that later had no apparent sign.
You know what?
It was the real thing.
Maybe this is take it a step further, right? You bury somebody alive, it's as if they never died. It's as if they never existed. Right? They're gone, finished, disappeared. In the Gemara, in the Midrashim, it says like this: it didn't disappear into no place. It says that Korach and his followers are in the in the depths of Gehenna, and they are forever repeating over and over the same phrase over and over again, which is Moshe emes v'torasei emes, that Moshe is true and his Torah is true. Which means that maybe the idea of being swallowed alive is the idea that they're never, when a person dies, so that's the end of it's the end of their life here in the physical world. But it then opens up the vistas of life in the spiritual worlds, right? But if a person, they go down alive, which means, I guess, in a certain way, it means that they've got no access into the spiritual realms.
And no sign of it.
And nothing, right?
It's like, whew.
That's about as serious as you get, right? And not only that, Korach has to spend eternity acknowledging that he was wrong and that Moshe was right. Moshe emes v'torasei emes.
He said that as they were going down.
I don't know if it was as they were going down, but once in the Gemara it says that once he's there in the Sheol, in this place in Gehenna, that's what he's doing all day long. That's what he has to do.
Is that trying to make tshuva?
I don't think it's I don't know if Korach is in a state of being able to do tshuva. I think it's simply that somebody stood up to Moshe Rabbeinu of all people. That the ultimate existence of Korach now is to keep reiterating over and over again that Moshe was emes and his Torah was emes. It's interesting that the spiritual realms are regarded as being the olam ha'emes, the world of truth. There's no. You won't be able to pull a fast one over God when you get upstairs. There's no room for anything except for absolute truth. So when it's saying Moshe emes v'torasei emes, that's it. That's the truth.
What about the ones with the fire?
Oh, so it says like this: HaKadosh Baruch Hu is meting out punishments, each one according to what they deserve, right? Which means that Korach and Dosan v'Aviram, they deserve to be eradicated entirely from the world. They don't exist anymore. They're not there. The 250 followers, on the other hand, so do you remember yesterday I told you this incredible chiddush from the Netziv? The Netziv said that they were tzaddikim, and they knew they were probably going to die. They knew that. But they wanted that experience so bad, they were prepared to give up their lives for it. The spiritual experience, right, of offering up the Ketorahs, of being close to God. How were they killed? They were killed exactly the same way that Nadav and Avihu were killed with the sons of Aaron and Cohen, who did exactly the same thing. They're not in the same status.
They did something that they weren't told to do.
They did something that they weren't told to do. They did something that they weren't allowed to do. But they maybe according to the Netziv, they did it for a different reason altogether. It wasn't part of the rebellion. It was simply this desire to be close to God. So listen to this. Human nature. It says like this, that Dosan v'Aviram, they're being sent down this crack, right? Korach and his, right? It says that the 250 followers, what's happening to them? They're being burnt, that their neshamas are being burnt out of their bodies. Yeah? Each one's looking at the other one thinking that the other one got a better deal. Right? Each one's thinking, the 250 are saying, it was easier to die the way they're dying. And the way that they're dying, they're saying it's easier to die the way that they're dying. Human nature, right? So it says like this, what happened to Korach? Korach was the instigator of everything. He had both. He turned into a fiery ball that went flying down this crack that had opened up in the earth, right? Because Korach has to receive everything. It's not, otherwise it's not fair. These 250 people are going to say Korach was the one who got us worked up, and he got us, imagining this is what we need to do. And then what happened to him? Well, how come he wasn't burnt? How come he got that? So in the end, he got that, and he got the other one as well. And in order to make it fair.
You got both of the two worlds.
Yeah, for sure, right? Let's see who's thinking. Right, it's not fair, huh? Let's see who's thinking. The last verse, verse number 35. Let's read it again. There's something doesn't make sense over there, huh? It says, "Ve'eish yotzam eis Hashem," a fire came out from God. "V'toichal eis ha'chamishim u'masayim ish makrivei ha'ktores," and it ate up the 250 people. Yeah. What should it have eaten up? 251, no, surely. Korach and his 250 followers. Right? Here, look. I'm less concerned about what happened to Korach. I'm more concerned about the words right now. Look, it says, "V'toichal es ha'chamishim u'masayim ish makrivei ha'ktores." Who were the 250 people who died? Who? But what does the Torah say? The ones who offered up the incense. Hold on a second. The ketores, right? We said we're supposed to bring in the morning, right? Okay. But hold on just 1 second. Who's coming to bring this ketores?
The 250 people.
Plus Korach, surely, no? Say Chazal, most incredible thing. Listen to this.
It includes no other, what's his name?
No, Dosan and Aviram weren't involved in the ketores part. They were just involved in the machloikas. Listen to this most incredible Chazal. It should have said 251, no? But it says 250 people who offered up the ketores. You know why? Because Korach didn't come to offer up ketores in the morning. He wasn't stupid. Korach knows perfectly well that whoever's going to offer up the ketores is going to die. He knows that. And he knows in his heart of hearts, he knows perfectly well that God never told him that he should be the Kohen Gadol. Which means the only person who's going to get away with this is who? Is Aaron. He knows that. Aaron can bring the ketores and offer it up and nothing will happen to him. Why? Because he was put into place by God. That's the only reason. Hey, Nachamo, Rabbi said, what's the only thing that differentiates Aaron from the 250 guys over here? The fact that he was put into his position by God, nothing else.
The other ones were not assigned by God.
Oh, Korach knows that. So they say like this, Korach never turned up to be Makriv Ketores. He never came with a pan in order to offer up the Ketores because he knew perfectly well that whoever was going to come and bring the Ketores was going to die. He knew that. How is this the ultimate, what is this? The ultimate chutzpah. He gets these guys all worked up, right? And then he realizes that Moshe Rabbeinu he's snookered them, right? He's put them into an untenable position. If you really truly believe that you're the one that's supposed to be offering up ketores, so you've got to turn up with the ketores in the morning, and we'll see. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will decide.
He was a coward.
For sure. At the end of the day, he wasn't prepared to stand up to what he believed in. You know why? Because he didn't really believe in it. You hear what's going on? It's the most incredible thing.
It shows it like cowardness on his part.
For sure. Something incredible. He thought he was going to get away with it. He thought that by not offering up the ketores, he would stay alive. Of course, it didn't work out the way that he thought it was going to work out. No. Isn't that incredible?
Why, if he knew that, then why did he say, you know what, I'm wrong?
Oh, no, Rabbi Moshe. I think Korach has reached the point, like many of us do in our lives, where we commit ourselves to something and we're not going to back down.
But he sees an alternative. He sees, like you say, he didn't go to...
I don't know. I think until the very last minute, he doesn't really believe that this is how it's going to end. Like most people, right? I mean, we all do it in our daily lives. We do it. You know, we commit ourselves to something which, at the end of the day, we know is wrong. But we've committed ourselves, and we're not going to back down, because by backing down, it means that we've got to say we were wrong. And most people don't like doing that. Here, say Chazal. Do you remember your friend Oin Ben Peles? Right? Yesterday, you were very interested to know about him. Let's have a look and see.
I read it quick.
Oh, so Oin Ben Peles appears at the beginning of the Parsha. Remember him? He was part of the rebellion as well. So he comes home and he says, look, he comes home and he tells his wife, this is what Korach has said. Tomorrow morning we got to turn up with his wife says to him like this, I don't get you. But listen carefully to what she says. And then listen carefully to what he says. Right? She says, I don't get you. It doesn't matter who's going to win this battle. You're not going to be the Kohen Gadol. Right? If Moshe wins, so Aaron will be the Kohen Gadol. If Korach wins, Korach will be the Kohen Gadol. I can tell you who's not going to be the Kohen Gadol. You're not going to be the Kohen Gadol. Would you say that that's a pretty persuasive argument?
Yes, you showed it. What are you doing?
What does Oin say? Oin is this macho man. Men are pretty stupid. We all know that, right? We can say this in this closed forum where we're not being recorded, right? We can all acknowledge the fact that men are pretty daft, right? Says Oin to his wife. Says Oin to his wife, you know what? You're right. He says, but I already committed myself. I promised I would be there. What can I do? I mean, did you ever hear anything as stupid as that?
So who got a reward?
Hold on a second. 1 minute. Before we get there. I just want you to hear, it's human nature. The truth of the matter is, however stupid it sounds to us, he's really not doing or saying anything that we wouldn't have done. We also do these things, don't we? Make ridiculous commitments and then we can't back down from them and then we're stuck, right? So Oin ben Peles tells his wife, you know what, sweetie, you're right. What can I tell you? But I'm going to have to go anyway. So what does she do? She gets him drunk. She gives him to drink. Wine. Very, very potent wine. And he drinks and drinks until he passes out. Now he's now in a drunken stupor. But she's got to stop Korach's messengers from getting to him, right, and waking him up and bringing him in the morning. So what does she do? The most incredible thing. She goes and sits outside her tent and she uncovers her hair. Now, I want you to hear that there is the most unbelievable conflict over here in concepts. On the one hand, we've got a whole bunch of people over here, Korach, who's fomenting a rebellion, and these people, even though they know that Moshe comes from God, they know that. And yet they're prepared to go along with the rebellion. And on the other hand, though, the messengers that Korach is going to send, Mrs. Peles knows that when they see her sitting at the front of the tent with her hair uncovered, they won't go anywhere near because she's not allowed to look at a woman who's married with uncovered hair. Yeah, it's incredible, right? You hear what's going on? Seriously, Rabbi said, what's it like? It's like somebody who's about to, he's about to murder somebody else. And he says to the person, just hold on a second, I have to have a drink, please. Could you answer amen to my bracha, right, just before I murder you, please? I don't understand. Where are your priorities? Where are they? Yeah.
I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard a lesser avera that stops Tavera is a mitzvah.
Yeah, good. So over here, for sure, there's no doubt whatsoever that what she did. I don't know any source whatsoever which says that what she did, she shouldn't have done. She knew what she was doing. She was incredibly smart, right? What amazes me more is in the middle of this rebellion over here, in the middle of this uprising, you've got these people who are not going to go knock on Oin ben Peles's door because his wife has got her hair uncovered outside and they won't go anywhere near her because it's forbidden to look at her.
Yeah, they're paying attention to that.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing. It really is. So what's Pshat? I think Pshat is like this. Really, I think the understanding is like this, that you reach a point where Korach himself, maybe he didn't believe this stuff. But he was persuasive enough to make his followers believe it. In history, over and over again, that's normally the situation when you've got people who start rebellions throughout the world. More often than not, the reason why they're starting the rebellion is because they want to take over the leadership. That's all. But they sell to the people a bill of goods of it's going to be good for you, there's going to be emancipation, there's going to be freedom, it's going to be great. Of course, what happens in the end, right? Just watch history. What happens in the end is that these people that take over, after a while, they become dictators. And after a while, they become even more, less freedom-loving than the people that were there to begin with. It's an amazing thing. It really is. Human nature. I mean, we really are able to blind ourselves to everything when we put our minds to it. These people, they won't go to Oin Ben Peles because they can't get past his wife because she's got her hair uncovered. And these people, they're frum, right? They wouldn't look at a woman who's got her hair uncovered. So Oin Ben Peles wakes up the next morning with a little bit of a hangover, presumably, and it's already after. Everything's taken place already. That's it. Says the Gemara like this. We've got two women in this week's Parsha, right? We've got the wife of Korach and we've got the wife of Oin Ben Peles. And one of them brings life and the other one brings death.
What was her background on Peles' wife?
I don't know. I don't know what her name was. I don't know anything at all about her except for what it is that Chazal teach over here, what the sages teach over here about what she did. It says that you got to be careful who you get married to. I think that's the right. That's the bottom line over here. If you get married to somebody who's going to be looking out for your best interests, then they'll bring life into your home and into your existence. You'll have real life. But if they're not looking out for your best interests, then they're gonna bring, at best they'll bring unhappiness, right? And at worst, like Mrs. Korach, they're going to bring death. But what's the problem? The problem is that we are completely and absolutely subjective, right? Which means that when a person finds himself attracted to two different women, what is going to be the deciding factor? Which one is he going to decide that he wants to establish his home together with? I don't know.
The one that makes the best home.
I don't know. Every single person will decide according to who they are. They're not going to decide. We can sit here and we can discuss in theoretical terms, the pros and the cons and personality and midas, and all of those things. But we all know it. I don't have to tell anybody over here, right? That midas, good characteristics, good traits, are what will establish a foundation that you'll have a stable, nurturing, loving relationship. We all know that, right? The problem is that when you go out with somebody, it's not you're not just looking at their midas. You're looking at your other things. There are other things that are going to dazzle you as well, right? For example, you may go out with two women, two ladies, and one lady is very, very attractive, but maybe her midas aren't so great. And the other one has got great midas, but maybe she's not so attractive physically. And all of us know that as a rule, that men are going to be drawn towards the more physically attractive woman. And unfortunately, very often, by the time they realize that the midas aren't so great, it's too late. And now you're stuck. There's a saying in English that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And it's 100% correct. It really is 1,000% correct. And very often I tell my Talmidim, when they're going out with girls and they come back and they say, she's very nice, but I don't know, I'm not sure that I feel attracted to her. So invariably I'll tell them, just go out again, try it again. Because very often the more you get to know somebody and the greater you begin to see the inner dimension of who that person is. So all of a sudden, for some strange reason, their physicality start becoming more attractive.
Becomes a secondary.
It's interesting. I don't know if it's secondary, but it's if the goodness inside starts to reflect itself on the outside, and the person is now attracted to the physical part as well as the inner part. And the opposite is also true. A person can go out with a very attractive lady, and the more they get to know them, the less they like them. And all of a sudden that physical attraction is just not as attractive as it was. The problem is that we're very subjective when we come to these things. We don't look at things clearly. We don't analyze things properly. Here, chapter 17. We're going to see the most incredible thing over here. We've now got all these copper pans, right? You know, all these 250 people that were burnt up, the 250 copper pans are just there. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe to tell Elazar, who's the son of Aaron HaKohen, to go and collect them up. Why Elazar? Why not Aaron himself? Because nobody wants to, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want anyone to turn around and say, oh, look, you know, these people all died because of Aaron, and now Aaron's going around afterwards and tidying up. It won't look good, right? It'll have a sort of negative, a negative connotation to it. So what do they do? What does Hashem do? He says to send Elazar instead. Why? Listen to this. Ki kodeshu, the pans have become holy. Now, this, presumably, is a pretty impressive proof for what the Netziv was saying. Remember, what did the Netziv say? The Netziv said that they did what they did. They shouldn't have done it, but they did it l'shem shamayim. They did it. They really did it for the right reason. They wanted to get close to God. Yeah? So surely the fact that the pans have now become holy seems to be an indication that what the Netziv is saying is correct. Es machtois achatoim ha'ele benafshoisom v'osuoisam rikuei pachim tzipui lemizbeach ki yikrivum lifnei Hashem v'yikadshu. Listen to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, most incredible thing over here. He says, take those copper pans and use them, hammer them out, make them thin, and cover the altar with this copper. Unbelievable, no?
Well, God's saying, you always remember.
Oh, right? They should be a sign for Bnei Yisrael. What is the ois? What is the sign over here? What sign are we talking about? That they shouldn't rebel against God. But they know that anyway. The Torah is full of messages not to rebel against God. The prophets were always coming and saying, don't rebel against God. So maybe the message over here, that the sign is what? To come and to teach us that a person can become so holy that they lose connection with their physical self. And that's not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. Right? It sounds fantastic to go out in a blaze of glory, right? To go out in a moment of spiritual thrall and to join together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It sounds like a fantastic thing. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to live down here in the physical world, and I want you to grow more spiritual within the physical and not to let go. Right? How many times have I told you? Like that the rabbis say, it's easier to fast l'shem shamayim than it is to eat l'shem shamayim. Right? We eat because, of course, we want to make brachot and we want to give ourselves more energy to be able to serve God properly, but we also happen to be hungry, right? Or we also happen to have a desire for that particular kind of food. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I put you here in this physical world in order to enjoy the physicality. I want you to live within the physical world, not to go out in a blaze of glory. V'yikach Elazar kohen es machtois hanachoishes asher ikrivu asrufim. And he did exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to do. Zikaron levnei Yisrael leman asher lo yikrav ish zah asher lo yimizera Aaron hu la'aktik toris lifnei Hashem, in order to be a reminder that what? That somebody who's not a Kohen shouldn't be offering up ketoris. But again, Nachamo, we've already been told all of this, right? When Nadav Avihu died, they were already instructed with all kinds of instructions about what you can do and what you can't do. Which means it doesn't mean ish zar. What he's trying to say over here is that you shouldn't be doing things which are beyond your capabilities. Not to be like Korach. Don't be like Korach. So here, this next little piece over here is something. They say in Hebrew, Lo me'olam hazeh. It's not unbelievable what goes on now. And the people come to Moshe the next day. Atem amitem es am Hashem. You know what I say?
They're blaming him now for it.
You kill them. You. What did they just witness yesterday? What did they witness? They witness the earth opening up and these people going down it and the earth closing up again and there's no sign whatsoever. And they witness the 250 people being burnt up. And they witness these pans being taken and turned into the cover for the Mizbeach. And they're being told that this is an oath from God. It's a sign from God that they should never do anything like this ever again. Next day,
Well, Jews.
next day they come and they say to Moshe, yo, what is it with you? You killed them, you know that? If you would have worked a little bit harder and you would have come in front of God and maybe you could have persuaded them not to do what they did and you could have persuaded God, and what did you allow that to happen for? I don't know. It's amazing, isn't it? Oh, interesting. One last detail. I'm sorry, I should have told you. Somebody should have asked, actually. What happened to Korach's fabulous wealth? That normally interests people, right? That got sucked down into the abyss together with everything else. Why?
They didn't use it for the
Because he stole it in the first place.
Huh?
Because he stole it in the first place.
No, not necessarily because he stole it. It's true it wasn't his, right? But really because that wealth was used for something which represents everything that is wrong in the world. It is, Korach went beyond the pale, right? He went beyond the any kind of a place where what he did could be brought back again. And everything that Korach had has now been destroyed. And that incredible wealth that he had, it's tainted. It can't be used for anything now, and it's going to go together with him. You should know, in the Arizal, which is now Divrei Kabbalah, it says like this. One of the things that happened over there by Korach was not just Korach didn't just die. Korach and his wife and his children, his grandchildren, babies. The Arizal says like this. It's the most terrifying thing. It really is. The Arizal says, why were the babies involved over here? What's going on? Why do the babies have to die? Why do the children have to die? Let Korach die. He was the one who was doing it all. And says the Arizal that machloikes, disagreements, it brings the worst of everything. And when machloikes is unleashed, it unleashes a reaction that can't be controlled anymore. Fights and arguments and fissures within inside of different communities and different people and neighbors and you name it, right? We'll fight about it. It's a terrifying concept, it really is. Hold on 1 second. The Jewish people, we've repeated the same mistakes over and over and over again, and at the heart of everything that we've suffered, at the very core of everything that we've suffered throughout all the generations is the fact that we have machlokes amongst ourselves. If we were able to live in harmony together, then everything would be okay. Everything. But we don't, because this one wears this kind of yarmulke and this one wears this kind of hat and this one doesn't wear one at all, and this is like this and this is like that, and I don't like you and you don't like me, and this is not fair.
There's no achdus.
There's no achdus. There's no unity within the Jewish people.
No, that's an unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the one big difference is how these people and all that was theirs descended alive, and then the earth covering up and no sign of it. It's like the opposite. I mean, that there's clarity there, and
for sure
it's so clear.
But what's the problem? It's already the next day.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's already the next day, and by the next day, this whole thing is now beginning to wear off. They're very, very malcontent.
What made these people say, and you killed him to Moshe and Aaron?
Because they're saying like this. They're saying that God reacted to what you told him. Right? If you would have told God, I don't know, to give Korach 6 of the best, right, with a cane, and everything will be okay. So he would have done that as well, right? But you told God to open up the earth and let him go rushing down and to disappear forever. And you told God to get rid of these 250 people over here, and you told God to do this, and you told God to do that, which means that you are responsible. You hear? Instead of recognizing that Moshe did everything that he possibly could in order to try to change their minds before, and instead of recognizing the importance of what it was that Moshe was putting into place when he asked for this to happen, that there should be no trace left of what Korach brought into the world, what do? They come to Moshe and they say, listen, this is your fault. You're in charge. This should never have happened. I don't know. It's quite something.
They don't think of the Rabbi Shalom either, because everything is done by the Rabbi Shalom. Why don't they?
No, so over here they're saying that why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do what he did? Because Moshe told him to do it.
So Moshe is directing traffic.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But when you're stuck in the traffic jam, who do you blame?
Person right there.
Yeah, for sure. Which is what they're doing as well. It's the most incredible. I mean, it's really. I think it's like a new level of chutzpah. This is great, right?
The question is, they still have no. That Hashem runs the world. That's being questioned.
It's astonishing, right? Because not only is it that, but they just saw yesterday as clear as can be that Kodesh Baruch Hu runs things.
Wow.
It's pretty. I mean, it's the most incredible thing, right? Let's just read another couple of verses, and Mitzvah Hashem will stop here for today. Vayi bikahela eda al Moshe val Aaron v'ifnu el oil moed v'nei chisoyenon v'yerach void Hashem. They come. There's almost like it's very, very menacing. It's very threatening. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu now comes and covers Moshe and Aaron that they should be protected. Vayova Moshe v'Aaron pnei oil moed, and they go to the oil moed. It's like it's a repetition again of what's just happened before.
Is it like a separation? Is it like a?
Yeah. It's as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we'll see him at Hashem tomorrow, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to say to them, okay, I've got you covered. I'm going to get rid of them. That's it. I'm done. I'm finished. Right? And Moshe and Aaron, they start to daven, and we'll see him at Hashem. We'll see it tomorrow. But it's the idea of being covered by the clouds. Is an idea of being in they're in their own little bubble of protection, because that's where they need to be. Again, what's Pshat? I think it's something very important over here. That there's no concern that the people can do to Moshe anything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu won't let them do. Which is there a concern that they're going to kill Moshe? No, there's no concern. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants them to see that Moshe and Aaron are being protected directly by God. It's a message, and he's showing them as clearly as can be. He's showing them, don't start up. They're just doing what they need to do. Good. Emir Hashem, we're going to stop over here.
Thank you, Rabbi Lauffer.
To be continued.